everyone. Happy Saturday. Thank you for being here. I'm Tressa and I'm here with another vlog as requested by one of my followers, Sam Adams. Uh, Username Sam Adams. Thank you so much for requesting this because I'm always open to comments, questions, and requests. And when somebody asks for something, oh, I give it to them. So Sam requested a vlog video about uh, some notorious prisoners by the name of Susan Atkins, Diane Downs, and Leslie Van Houten. And so I'm going to preface it with this. Those women, one of which has passed away, were and are notorious. However, one of them, Leslie Van Houten, to me, she's more infamous than notorious because I personally met her when I was incarcerated, and she really is a nice woman. The crime that she allegedly committed, and I say allegedly because I have an opinion on that, is when she was almost a minor, way back when, you know, and she is a woman who is very, very old by now. And they have never released her. The Board of Prison Terms, BPT, has actually granted her a release. However, governors have always rejected that. And I felt like she should have been released actually a long time ago, as do so many other people. And I understand on the other side of the spectrum, on the other end of the spectrum, a lot of other people feel like she shouldn't be released at all. However, they're not taking it into context. So that's why I making this statement ahead of the vlog that I'm going to get into. And before all of that, some tangents, but very interesting tangents. Lately, I've been really going through it. I've been doing a detox, which again, I just started and I'm in the midst of now, because even though I am 100% vegan, I have a very, very, very clean lifestyle and clean diet. I indulge in sugar, and not just some, but a lot of chocolate. So there come times when I decide, okay, that's it. I'm going to detox again and go back on my anti-inflammatory slash alkaline diet. And I succeed in maintaining it for a few days, and then I go back to the processed sugar, namely chocolates, because I'm just going to say this: it's enjoyable to eat chocolate, and I need to stop. I know that because it's not healthy. And no, you don't need to stop enjoying yourself. But when it gets to the point where for you in particular something is not right, then you have to stop it, for the better good of your own self. And so it's been brutal. These past few days have been brutal for me. I'm not just because of the detox, but also because I purchased a new vehicle, and there's been a lot of back and forth with that, as negotiations go, and life sometimes just takes on, these other dimensions and takes you down those rabbit holes with them. So it's been a brutal few days. But you know what? On the other side of all of this, I count my blessings. I have so much to be grateful for. I have so many blessings, and I speak spiritually, and I do. I have so much, I have my health. I have I have, I just have so much, but you know, I've had quite a dysfunctional upbringing, adversities in my life, but I'm incredibly strong, courageous. I'm a soldier, and I don't believe in letting anything beat you. So even, like daily stressors, uh, you know, um, they get to you. They get to you. You're human. And yesterday I lost my cool for a quick minute, but I caught myself. But with that, I'll say I wish I hadn't. You know, Negotiations can be that way. And also, I went to sell my other vehicle, which, I got a better deal than I expected. So that's great. That actually started last week. However, I didn't take in my vehicle until just a couple days ago, and yesterday I finalized it, and it just took longer than I had hoped for. And so it was just, yesterday was just an incredibly long day. I had a lot of errands to run, a lot of things to deal with, because I have to adult. And a lot of the times I don't want to adult, but that's just my wants. And so, you know, I step up to the plate. I take challenges when I have to, and I excel at them. Just, adulting is what you would think it is. Here I am on another tangent. I'm here with my beautiful coffee table books, which I've curated from thrift and vintage stores because I believe those have the most character. A couple of them are new, but I feel like to find the titles that I really want and the look that I really want, sometimes you actually have to go um, out of the box, and I went out of the box. They're still sitting here stacked right here with me because I'm still working on purchasing the right side table for the entryway that I want. And some of these are going to go on there. I'm particularly proud of this one that I found. And it's hefty. So, and then this one here, 24 hours in the life of Los Angeles, because when you're living with lost angels, 24 hours can be a flash or it can be a lifetime. So here we are. And with that, let's get into this vlog. Yes, unfortunately, in my life, I've had circumstances and actions that have led me to be incarcerated in county jail and state prison. I'm not proud of it, but I will say this. I am proud of who I've become, which is a better person who is still on that journey as a result of things that have happened in my life. I've been incarcerated, I have been imprisoned, and along the way I've met bad people and I've met good people. I will say this, currently the women's prisons in California are far more violent, far more tense than they've ever been. And I'm not talking about in terms of the pandemic. I'm talking about when I was there in 2017 through 2018, which felt like a lifetime. Um, it it has become far worse. It was always bad in the women's prison. I will say this, and I can say this with surety, probably not as bad as the men's prison because there's racial segregation. It's to the point of military, militant existence in there. In the women's prison, it's a little more relaxed, much more relaxed when it comes to race and things like that because they don't really segregate you by race and the inmates don't either. However, there are more drugs than there used to be in the women's prison. And with the social dilemmas, transgender rights, and all of that. Uh, they are, they have been and are now um, giving, you know, hormone shots. It's become a matter of rights that it didn't used to be like that. It is now. So you don't know what gender you're walking among. And from what I've read in the news from several months ago, that the governor uh, wants to allow uh, California inmates to have the option, as a matter of right, to decide which gender they are, not because they've had the surgery, not because they've gone through the process that they should, but they should decide at intake that if they feel like being a male, then, and allegedly identifying as a male, then they will speak up during the intake process and say so. If they identify as a female, they will also say so. And they have supposedly the right to be imprisoned in the prison according to the gender with which they identify, which with they specifically, I want to specify this, claim that they identify. And I feel like that's really dangerous. You know, men, testosterone being housed in a female prison among the female population, yes, they do have a huge edge. And that's dangerous. So, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if so many more lawsuits go down in there, and ACLU is going to have a field day. And here's the thing about ACLU, they've never helped any one individual inmate. I feel like they're just a nonprofit for money and only for money, and they, uh, quote unquote, help when it's profitable for them. So, you know, we'll see how that all goes down in the future. But even independent of that, the women's prison has become more insidious than it's ever been. Not only are drugs more rampant in there and more available, you have to pay for it. And I've never done drugs, so I would never be involved in something like that, but I've watched it firsthand. Things that have gone down there, and I've always kept out of it. It's what you want to do. You want to stay away from everything, mind your own business. You know, what your eyes see, your ears don't hear, and that's always been my attitude and philosophy. Um, but there are the employees bringing in the drugs, and the drugs are cut as they had never been before, which means that, um, although they've never been pure, now they're even more cut, which means they're more corrupted, which results in more strokes, and other fatalities inside of the prison. But it also means the mindset of the inmates and the IQs a lot lower than they used to be. They don't know anything about pop culture. And I mean, they have their TVs, they have their um, media. You now have access to email in the women's prison. If it's prepaid, you can email your people outside of the prison and they can email you, and that's on a daily basis. They have kiosks there. So they have access to all the current information and what's going on in society out here in the so-called free world. But yet they could never identify with any pop culture or anything on the level of what average society has knowledge of. It's because they've become a lot more stupid because the drugs they're doing are so cut with trash. Um, so there's that, but it's no joke. They don't play when it comes to drugs. They have the employees in their pocket. There are a lot of exchanges going on there, and it's really not safe, even if you're someone who minds your own business. I mean, you can inadvertently get caught up in the violence and the problems there, because in CCWF prison, in Chowchilla, California, if you're general population, which I didn't even want to be. I'd rather be locked up by myself and, just know that I'm going to get out on my release date because I'm not going to get into a fight. That's the thing there. Um, you know, you're housed with 7 other women and in very tight quarters. And those women are malicious, and as far as I'm concerned, you don't run to the staff, because it's just not done. So you have to find a way to exist with it and handle it yourself. And even if you were someone who runs to staff, unless you're a professional snitch, which I don't recommend, but whatever, um, they're not really going to help you. They might give you a bed move here and there, but at some point you're on your own. So it's really bad. CIW, the prison in Chino, is, I feel like, a degree better, because those are 2-man cells, so you're housed with one other inmate. But you better hope it's an inmate that doesn't bring other inmates in there, because when I was there, they were allowing in-cell visiting. I mean, it's not a policy or a rule that's set out. It's just, what at the given moment is being allowed by the cell block housing. I hate to call it housing, but temporary living arrangements, cell block staff. It's what they choose to allow. It's what the administration chooses to tolerate and or allow. And when I was there, um, in mid century, if you want to call it whatever, in approximately 2009, they were allowing in cell visiting. So whenever I had a cellie, I would say, listen, here's what we're going to work out. You're not going to bring anybody in here, and neither am I. Because where you lay your head is where you need to know at least you have some degree of peace there. Plus, when other inmates who are not assigned to that cell that you're assigned to are coming in, there's more chance of contraband, there's more chance of trouble, and you being pinned for it. So, it's just how it is. So you don't want to be the hostess with the mostest in a place like that at all. And that's why I wouldn't allow it. And there were several times when I went to lock up because of that, but be what it is, and I paroled from lockup. And unfortunately, when I was incarcerated in 2017, from 2009, they still had that on my prison record. So in intake, they took me straight to lockup, and they said it's only going to be a few days as a formality because you paroled from lockup. So you're going to be intaked, not intooken, intaked into lockup, and then you'll get classified and be put back out in general population. And when I was, which took more than a few days, I hated it, because if you're a short timer, you want to do that time and get out and go home, um, on your date or as soon as possible if they're giving early releases, which at the time I did not get one. But it's brutal in the California women's prison environment. It has been, and it still is right now. So imagine with a pandemic how much worse it is. So let's get to Susan Atkins. She passed away a long time ago, and she was just a bad person. Um, when I was there, she actually came and introduced herself to me, and at first she was really, really nice, and so I thought that's fine, because anytime that you have the option of getting along with somebody, it's a lot better, you know. Um, And if that's possible, then fine. If not, you do what you got to do, But I was in hobby craft when they had hobby craft there, and I was trying to order some gems so that I could have those to, make little things and keep myself occupied. And she came and introduced herself, and kind of like helped me, um, find my way around that, and everything. But at some point, because she was a psychopath personality, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose anybody, but some things, in some cases, what you see is what it is. So one time I forgot to say hi to her, or maybe I neglected to say hi to her when I was passing by her, and the next time she passed by me, she was very offended. She showed her offense by being sarcastic and rude. I just disregarded it. And shortly after, she discovered she had brain cancer. And the process went downhill badly for her very quickly. And she passed away. And I remember at the time when she was in the hospital, one of the officers had she had had some overtime, which she did in the hospital, um, you know, overlooking Susan Atkins. And when I spoke to her afterwards, when she was on her regular shift, she made this comment. Um, and I tended to agree with her. She said that yeah, she's going through some torturous times right now. The medications have had really adverse effects on her and all that. So she's having a bad time, and I feel like she needs to be with us a little longer. And I knew exactly what she was saying because Susan Atkins was unrepentive. She was still smug about her crimes, and I had never told anybody how I felt. But what this officer told me on her own, unsolicited by me, told me a lot. That yeah, so it's not just me, And this was one of the nicer officers. She was not one of the ones who would go out of her way to cause you problems. She was one of the nicer officers there. She was a decent woman, and for her to say that says a lot. At the same time, in there, I personally had met and spoken with and known Leslie Van Houten. She's on a whole different end of the spectrum. She was a very, very nice lady, and I'll say this, she was a lady. Uh, Soft spoken, well spoken, intelligent, reasonable, and she even had a couple things to say about Susan Atkins, which for Leslie Van Houten also speaks volumes because she was also a very nice individual who never spoke ill of anybody. Um, she had helped me a lot of the times. She was very quiet. She was a model inmate, and I'm sure she still is. So there are conflicting stories around her crime that she stabbed Mrs. LaBianca after she was dead. Some say she stabbed her to death. I tend to believe that she stabbed her after she was dead. I'm not privy to the detailed information. I haven't pulled any paperwork. However, that's what I would tend to believe. That's my humble opinion. But however way, whatever the facts are, is that she committed the crime when she was so young, and that's not always a factor, not always a mitigating factor, but in her case, in a lot of cases, it is. She is has not been released and will not be released. I don't know for how long more, because she's a prisoner of publicity and of public opinion, and those things do have a huge impact. I believe she should have been released a long time ago. it's a good thing that she has a lot of community support. There's an attorney that's been on her side for years, doing a lot of pro bono work for her, a tremendous amount. She used to have a website. I don't see her website lately. It's been down for, I think, about a year. At least I haven't seen it, so I don't know what's going on. Um, but she does not deserve, and she hasn't deserved to be in prison for as long as she has. You know, there are far worse people who have been released on parole from life sentences. So, and she's still in there fighting for release. I mean, this woman is so old now. And, you know, the sister of a very well known, beautiful, beautiful actress who was murdered, um, by, you know, Manson's gang, goes to her parole hearing. But here's the thing, Leslie Van Houten was not involved with the murder of that woman's sister, and yet that woman's sister is always trying to, and, you know, succeeding in blocking her release because her say has a lot of influence. And I don't think that's right. You know, she had nothing to do with her sister's murder. I'll say it again. You know, there's a lot of injustice in this world. There's a lot of unfairness. Okay, you know, you know, everything's not fair. I understand, but, you know, right is right, wrong is wrong, and these are my, you know, my feelings. Diane Downs. I had spoken with her. I had an ongoing speaking relationship with her, if that's what you want to say. You know, I knew her. Um, highly intelligent, very high IQ, very well spoken, but manipulative. And in life, sometimes you have to manipulate when it's a matter of survival. And in prison, manipulation is actually a requirement of survival. You know, breaking rules to a certain extent that doesn't harm others is a requirement of survival in there. Breaking rules, something, you know, that's not harmful, like having extra clothing, which is considered contraband, you know, more than your set limit, having more food items than you're allowed to, you know, sometimes skewing facts because you have to survive and you don't have any help in there, those things. But there's a different level of manipulation that sociopaths, psychopaths use, which is always bad. And, you know, that's in the case of this stalker that I've been targeted by for years, who has slandered me on the internet. She is a narcissistic sociopath slash psychopath, Tori Ann Roos. You know, manipulative in the worst ways, and some people are. Diane Downs, I don't believe she'll ever be released, which I don't care one way or another. You know, I don't, in my humble opinion, I don't feel like she should. That's just my opinion. You know, intelligence and a lot of common sense, but not the most common sense. If you've watched any of her parole hearings, she attempted to, you know, play the psych out game with the parole board, thinking that it was going to work if she employed the following tactics. She was telling them, but when you release me, please don't release me to my old address because it's dangerous. You know, my parents are being targeted. Pretending as if she is going to be released by these people, she is going to be granted a release, you know, so asking, urging, begging them, you know, but release me only under these circumstances, when she knew and they knew that they had no intention of releasing her. So, you know, and I believe her daughter's spoken up about her mother, Diane Downs. I in the time that I had, had a speaking relationship with her, I never really encountered any major problems from her. She is undercover, not the nicest person, but she wasn't the meanest person either. In prison, she is a model inmate. Ever since she's been in the California prison, she didn't originate in the California prison, though. She had escaped from a prison in another state. She had shacked up with the boyfriend of an inmate that she knew when she was in that prison. The inmate had confided some personal things to her, so she actually went to the home of the boyfriend of that inmate and had sexual relations with him. And they eventually caught her and took her back to prison. And at some point, she was transferred to the California prisons, where she found a permanent residence in CCWF. Um, but for years she's been a model inmate. She doesn't bother anybody. She doesn't get involved in the fray. She fixes bicycles. She's on the grounds in prison, where, I mean, it's a pretty good job as far as prison jobs. It pays better than most jobs in there. So, I mean, she has her little life going on in there. So, it is what it is. She's housed with 7 other inmates. From what I know, she's making it work. So, and that's for the 3 um, infamous inmates. I do hope that Leslie Van Houten does, at some point in her now very old life, get released, because I don't believe she's a danger to society. Not because of her age, but because I just don't believe, from what I know of her, and I knew her personally, that she would do anything, uh, to physically hurt anybody. Uh, but that her release, or lack of, remains to be seen. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I am hard at work on a nonprofit, hoping to start a nonprofit for my ultimate passion and love in life, which is dogs, cats, um, animals. I would do anything for them. They mean everything to me. And every time I speak of a nonprofit or anything animal related, I dedicate this to my Pooba. Pooba, I love you, and I always will. You were the best, and in my heart, you always will be. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here. Hey, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, I'm absolutely open. Please thumbs up, subscribe, hit your notifications, and I'm open to everything positive. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.